Hi, and welcome back to Pathways to Parenting, Family Living podcast from COFIGHT-19 as we continue to journey through this period of isolation. The last few days we've been talking about how we treat ourselves when things are not going well, when we're messing up, feeling rubbish, and when we're struggling. So remember, every single day, take time out for yourself, even if it's just a few moments. Be kind and compassionate to yourself. Things are hard, challenging and confusing at the moment, so you're going to get some things wrong and get some things right. Today and tomorrow we're turning our attention to how best to manage our digital lives in this time of self-isolation. Now that government's lockdown measures have been in operation for a few weeks now, this is an opportunity for you to check in with how you're doing as a family, what might be going well, what you could improve with a few small changes, or maybe even big ones. Now, most families apply some sort of rules for how and when digital technology is used in the home. You might have limits on how much screen time children are allowed, or a cut-off time in the evenings. Perhaps you've laid down guidelines about where in your home children can access the internet, or what sites and apps they're allowed to use. But what about you, the parent? What digital rules do your children see you applying? What are you modelling to your children about how to manage your use of screens? We know that children follow what we do, not what we say, and many a parent has banged their head against a brick wall over this. So what digital life lessons are our children absorbing as they observe us? With families cooped up together, children and teens will have more opportunity than ever to observe our digital behaviour, and whether or not they let us know, they truly are observing and absorbing what we do. So let's be honest with ourselves. We know that too much screen time affects everyone's well-being, and it's especially true at the moment if we keep watching the news, which on the whole tends to be negative. But let's start with the positive. Let's be grateful that COVID-19 has hit us in a digital age. Our children are able to receive amazing support from their schools through remote learning. Thank you to all those teachers and school staff out there. Think of the ease with which all of us, including children and teens, can stay in touch with friends and family and even continue to do our jobs and earn a living. Without the immense capabilities of the digital world, there will be no virtual coffees, meals, drinks, pub quiz nights, theatres, and as an extrovert with an introvert husband, I'm eternally grateful for this. And without the digital world, parents would not be able to connect with COFIGHT-19, let alone other platforms that are giving us access to a multitude of supportive resources. So the digital world is a key element that is making self-isolating less isolating. But bear in mind the stress of too much choice, the constant chatter of social media, hence the title of today's talk, The Double-Edged Sword, Digital Saviour versus Digital Overload. Several friends and young people have talked about digital overload to me, the negative impact it's having on their lives. Many are choosing daily digital free time or even a digital day off. So take a minute to pause now and ask yourself these questions. What do I think is going well in how we manage our digital lives as a family? What things do we need to change? How might our lives work better if we did so? So far, we've looked at the fantastic positive impact the digital world has on modern life, but we need to take a balanced view and acknowledge that this world is a double-edged sword. We know this already. Too much screen time affects sleep, lowers our mood, increases our stress and anxiety. We can end up with a negative overload from all the fearful news and stories and harmful fake news that we might be consuming. Then on top of that is a dreaded FOMO, the fear of missing out, feeling like we're out the loop, which can make us feel emotionally isolated, as if we're out of the in crowd. So that's a whole lot of digital problems we're facing, and that's just the adults. Well, there are some sound changes we can make to help us manage this. For example, have you ever thought about setting up a digital family contract? Or if you already have one, it's a good time to review it. Check how well it's working. Like the family rules we discussed the other day, it's helpful to involve the family as age appropriate. Young children, 4 or 5 upwards, can be given the opportunity to contribute. It's clearly down to you as a parent to take the lead, but do take into account the individual needs, thoughts, experiences, reflections of each member of your family, as well as the fact that these are simply not normal times, the way you have a great chance to make a plan that works for everyone. This, of course, is especially important with the current pressures we're all facing, so that as a family you can build a sense that you are all in this together. Apart from digital rules of family, be aware of your family's and your children's vulnerabilities. For example, one young girl shared how she had created an online persona to hide behind as she struggles with anxiety over coronavirus and the lockdown. For some, this sort of response may be helpful, but for this particular child, it left her experiencing a loss of her real self. So ask yourself whether you have a child who's sensitive or anxious, who might be seeking to isolate out of fear and anxiety. Another real danger that some young people who are bored and hurting others may be seen as a way out to bring humour and a bit more vitality back into their lives, or a sense of power and control by bullying others, seeking kicks from this experience. And that's because they're feeling powerless themselves. As well as this, other teens might become at risk of that danger that every parent dreads, inappropriate sexual behaviour. Now, for some children, this may be restricted to online sexual behaviour between peers, which is worrying enough, but we also have to face the awful fact that sexual predators are going to be bored at home, seeking out vulnerable children on the internet. With most children spending far more time online under lockdown, this is sadly highly likely to increase. So how do we tackle this as parents? Tomorrow we'll make practical suggestions for reviewing and reworking how best we can relate to the digital world in this time of COVID-19. Until then, remember to pause, take time out for yourself, to bring however small a moment of self-care into your day. Stay well and see you tomorrow.